turned on. Wait. I'm doing well. I'm a little sleepy tonight.
I think, yeah. I think everybody's kind of good.
Yeah.
Half hours, the four of us. Pretty well, but
You're absolutely welcome. Welcome.
it's crazy.
Tiring in and of itself.
Yeah, that's when you.
How you doing? We have that little sign-in sheet.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
you got it, okay.
So intern. That's why his name was there. The specific name on the.
Yeah.
It went pretty well.
Are we all ready?
Yeah.
We're ready?
Hey, you're winding down, so might as well keep in them.
Well, there you go. These are the years, right? The years that Uber's calling us. Hey.
I left you in good hands. Good income coming in.
Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Code Compliance Board meeting of the Village of Biscayne Park. Tonight is Wednesday, February 12th. Time is 6:01 p.m. Clerk, could you call the roll, please?
Jenny Anderson.
Here.
Dale Blinton. Rodolfo Barrentos. Judy Hammerberg. Michael Lenard.
Here.
Ashley Brene Green. Village staff Doreen C. Grant. Rafael Gutierrez. Vanessa Cherry here.
Excellent. Welcome again. I was remiss the last meeting when you were here and not explaining, although alternates by our code can't vote unless needed for a quorum, you can participate in the conversation, you can ask questions, and you are certainly welcome. Please join in, and thank you. Again, good evening, everyone. This is a meeting of the Village of Biscayne Park Code Compliance Board. The board is authorized pursuant to Chapter 14 of the Village's Land Development Code to ensure compliance with the Village's Code of Ordinances. The members of the board are citizens and residents of the Village of Biscayne Park. We volunteer our time and are not paid for our services. The purpose of each hearing is to give any alleged violators the opportunity to contest the decision of the code compliance officer, which resulted in the issuance of a notice of violation, and to determine whether a violation of the village's code has occurred or is occurring. We are not authorized to dismiss violations based on hardships, ignorance, or the fact that others may be guilty of the same violation. These hearings are conducted in a quasi-judicial manner. Our responsibility is to act much like a judge in a court, and that is to hear cases presented by the village's code compliance officers and to hear contradictory arguments presented by the alleged violators. We are not authorized to change the code. The village commission is solely authorized to enact or revise codes. Conversely, neither the commission nor the village manager have the authority to overrule the findings of the board. Pursuant to Chapter 162 Florida statutes, orders of the board can only be appealed to the Circuit Court of Miami-Dade County. We have the authority to assess and order the payment of civil penalties, to issue orders having the force of law, to command whatever steps are necessary to bring a violation into compliance, and to assess administrative costs. In order to make a finding upholding the code compliance officer's decision, we must find that there is substantial competent evidence that the named violator was responsible for a violation of the relevant section of the code as charged. All documentary evidence presented by the parties must be submitted for placement in the hearing file. No documentary evidence will be considered unless the alleged violator or code compliance officer submits a copy for the hearing file. Each party shall have the right to call and examine witnesses, to introduce exhibits, to cross-examine opposing witnesses on any matter relevant to the issues, even though that matter was not covered in the direct examination, to impeach any witnesses regardless of which party first called them to testify, and to rebut evidence against them. If you intend to address the board and haven't signed in, please do so. And at this time, anyone wishing to address the board, please stand, raise your right hand so you may be sworn in. And you are reminded this board is a quasi-judicial board, and giving false testimony can be penalized. Clerk, would you administer the oath?
Please stand up. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
We're ready for the first case? Oh, I'm sorry. Most important, additions, deletions, changes, or withdrawals.
Doreen Grant, Code Compliance Manager for the Code Compliance Department. We have a change to make, a correction actually, on 7.1. The address should have read in the affidavit of posting 905 instead of 9, I think it was 9:15. We'll put it there.
The street address is 905?
905, correct. In the affidavit of posting.
I did notice, well, maybe when we get to the case, there was a case that I noticed that on the notice to appear, the description was not in agreement to what the notice of violation was for.
You have the item number?
Right now.
We do that when we get there?
Yeah, can we do it when we get there then?
We get that. Okay. The other notable correction or change we would like to make would be on 7.3. The section has a slight discrepancy, which was not the fault of staff. The ordinance hasn't been updated in Municode. Section 19.1.11 of the ordinance will be updated. We just received an email from the village attorney saying that the clerk will have to certify the most recent ordinance. So until we get that certification, I would like to ask that this particular discussion is moved to the next hearing, March 12th. The case has complied, however, there was a discrepancy in the section, 7.3
So you just want to roll that to the next meeting?
to the next meeting.
7.3 till March? I'm sorry, continuance of 7.3.
Continue, correct. On the additions for the property at 720 Northeast 117th Street, there are 6 cases that were to come for settlement agreement. However, the respondent was not ready, so we are asking to rescind that addition. It may come on the next hearing, but until we receive a request, a formal request from them.
There's no point in putting it back on. the
Correct.
agenda until all the required paperwork is done. It just,
That's correct.
do all the postings and everything else. Okay. So
We ask the board to rescind this addition.
Need a motion?
No, she's.
Just one.
Mhm.
The first case we'll call on the agenda is item 7.4. 7.4. It's for the address located at 10831 Northeast 10th Avenue. The case number is CEC 24-0120. Property owner Maria Laura Laus. There's a request for a continuance. They were found to be in violation of Chapter 5.6 off-street parking for their driveway. They are in the process of applying for a permit, so they are asking for the board to continue this case to February 28 to allow them time to apply for the permit.
Where is the property owner in the permit process?
Yes.
That's correct. She did come to Village Hall and she did make the request. She got all the paperwork and she's in the process of applying.
Questions from the board?
No, I do see where that she had corresponded back
Mhm.
in
Yeah, she,
previously, and they were asking for an extension in January.
so essentially, we're tabling till March's meeting.
That's correct.
I don't have a problem.
Don't have.
I'd make a motion in case number, case number
Have it.
CEC 24-0120. The property owner has asked for a continuance, this case to be continued to March's meeting to allow her to finish their permitting process.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye,
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
thank you.
welcome.
The next case is under 6.6. 6.6. The address is 11320 Northeast 11th Place. Case number CEC 24-0122 for J&B Management Associates LLC through in care of their registered agent, Louis Marie.
Yes.
This case, we are bringing this case before the board for an intent to lien. The $500 that was ordered by the board has not been paid. An affidavit of non-compliance has been filed. Respondent is present.
Okay, it was the contractor.
One moment, ma'am.
Oh,
One
sorry.
moment. The board needs to ask their questions
right.
first.
We heard this, didn't we? Like, and the contractor was the guy that said he didn't know, he takes responsibility and all that?
That's correct, and you assessed $500 in fines.
Right, okay.
Right. Still, there is still the basic fine and the administrative costs that need to be paid.
And he copped to it when he was here the last time, so he said that he's responsible and we made the ruling and it's just basically a debt collection now?
That's correct. We were bringing the case for an intent to lien, but the property owner has shown up and maybe would like to address the board.
Okay.
No, I really don't know.
Ma'am, if you could, your name and your
Oh, my name
relationship
is,
to the property.
My name is Mary Lewis. I am the owner of the property and under the JNB Management Associate LLC. When this happened, I wasn't here and I saw the compliance officer one time I was at the property, is the one who present me with the paperwork. And then I give it to the contractor because that was one of his employees who came early. I don't have no idea about the time that they're supposed to work. I think it was in December 25th. Instead of coming at 11 o'clock, that's the time, 11 to 5 for that day, it was December 25th. So the employee, usually they come at 9 o'clock, 9 to 6. So I guess they came early. the compliance officer told me it was a policeman who was passing by and saw people working and he reported to the city. So I told the contractor, and I know they had a meeting. I gave him the paper. I know he came in that meeting. So I thought he paid or whatever, he had fixed the problem, and I received the paperwork that I have a meeting today. So that's why I'm here.
Ma'am,
We had a hearing. He said that, he didn't even know that, he wasn't
Yes.
supposed to work. He apologized. He said he was responsible and the assessment was made and I don't know if he communicated with you or not, but the bottom line is that what we're here for today is essentially just to, intent to lien because there's this outstanding fine that's due that we took testimony and he admitted that he, was in violation of the rules.
I mean,
Yes.
if you can work out something with your contractor that he covers it, but the amount still is owed to the
Yes,
village.
but
because
I
it
did
is-
not know.
It is the property owner's responsibility to know what our rules are and to convey them to contractors. You can't always just depend on a contractor knowing everything.
Because
So-
myself, I didn't know the rules. They told me that the contractor, when he goes to the city to get the permit, they give them all the information. They
Mhm.
are the one who gonna
And all
do
the
the
more
job.
so, he should have followed the rules.
So, and he came and he said he was going to pay it. I really didn't know that that wasn't paid.
The city cannot go after the contractor, ma'am.
Okay,
The
no, I
city-
understand. So now I'm gonna have to go and have a talk with him for
Yes,
make
ma'am.
sure that this thing is,
May I ask a question?
Sure.
There's a $500 outstanding fee. You think you'll be able to pay it within 10 days?
yes.
That's it. I'd like to make a motion.
Go right ahead.
Make a motion on case number CEC 24-0122. That there's a lien that there's a fee outstanding of $500 and give the property owner until
February 26th.
February the 26th to pay in full, or if not, direct the village to proceed with filing a lien and the applicable filing fees.
I'll second.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
So,
Thank you.
yeah, just see the village when you get ready to pay and
Okay,
by
thank
the
you.
26th.
Thank you.
Okay.
Get him to pay that money to you.
The next item is under Section 8, fine reductions. It's 8.1 for the address 11331 Northeast 11th Place. It's for case number CEN-24-275. Property owner is 11331 Northeast 11th Place, LLC, in care of the registered agents Marquise Esteban. He's asking for a fine reduction on an outstanding fine of $1,250. The property is now in compliance, and we have filed an affidavit of compliance. He is proposing to pay a fine of $250. And Code Compliance Department is recommending $500, which was $250 assessment for the violation and $250 in administrative cost, which cannot be waived.
I believe very strongly that when we're dealing with fine reductions, dealing with the daily fines is one issue. But if we have found that there was in fact a violation, the $250 and the additional $250 for admin costs are the basis of what we require when there has been found to be a violation. And to go lower than that sets a terrible precedent, not only in the future, but for those who have paid those fines in the past. Now, that all being said,
May I?
I'm not
I'm
comfortable.
so sorry. The respondent is on Zoom.
And that's what I was getting ready to
I'm
ask.
so sorry. I
Has he been
apologize, sir.
Sworn in.
No, no, it's okay.
Was sworn in.
And
I'm so sorry because I didn't realize that, and that's kind of critical for negotiating.
And I have well, if there are no other questions, I was in agreement also that we shouldn't be waiving the fees. and the administrative fee and the fine. But I was reading, I was unclear as to the offer because I saw he was offering to pay $250, and to me, that was in addition to what was already there, the administrative fee and the fine. So is the property owner, sir, are you offering to pay a total of $750 as a fine reduction? I just want clarity as to what you're
Yeah,
offering.
Yeah, you said me my proposal was to pay 250 for the administrative cost, but I don't understand your question. Sorry.
No, there's administrative costs of $250 and a fine of $250, so that's $500. And you had daily fines, which totaled, I believe, $750. Was your offer, I was just wanting clarity on your offer. Was that $250 towards the daily fines, or you just offering to pay $250 for everything?
I offer to pay 250 for everything.
Okay.
And again, the city has to put staff out there to do the administrative work. And I personally have an issue with dropping a fine so low that it doesn't cover cover the village's expenses. I think that whatever you have incurred, maybe not pay the entire amount for the daily expenses, but it needs to cover the cost of what the city has to pay to our staff.
If you look, the notice of violation was issued in April of last year. Compliance was approximately 5 months later, so no, my motion would be to not accept the offer of 250.
So, well, was there a motion? Because I was not done.
Just say second for discussion.
Second for discussion.
Okay. So, Esteban, is it?
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, I read in your submission that you're talking to us from Spain right now?
Yeah, I'm in Spain.
Okay, well, I hope it's good weather out there.
Well, it's a little cold. Yeah.
Okay. Well, look, we appreciate the fact that you got the work done and that you brought this into compliance, and that's really the goal of why we are all here. You heard, and I'm not going to reiterate it, but you heard, 3 of us out of the 5 that are here talk about, the amounts that are incurred in terms of the time that the village has to take to do the work that they do in order to put together these things, as well as to bring into compliance. So I think what you heard is that, that they're going to cut you a break potentially on the daily fines, but, I'd like to make a motion in case number,
We have to either vote up or down on her motion.
which in the motion
We
was
have the first motion to not accept the $250 off.
He has
just
to
a
give-
yes or no.
He has to give us an offer. We don't negotiate.
Okay.
We just tell him that, what we're thinking.
If I have a motion and a second, all in favor of not accepting the offer? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed to not accepting the offer? Motion passes 5-0.
Was that Janie Dale?
Amy and Dale.
So now Esteban has an opportunity to say what he would, and I think Esteban, you heard, I think pretty loud and clear that, we're not going to accept the 250, but we would consider strongly, it sounds like, a reduction to $500. So I think if you make that motion, you'll have some support.
Well, no, I was saying that would be the minimum. I'm also looking at the fact that had been going on since April, and until
don't think we
they
said-
came into compliance. So a daily fine, what was, we had, that should be, that's why I was wanting clarity on what he was offering. Was he offering a total of $750, or was it just 250 period? So I would look at something towards, the daily fine, only because had this been resolved at the beginning and never came here, It wouldn't have, a daily fine wouldn't have been incurred.
Well, I mean, I'm looking at Esteban's fine reduction requests, and one of the things that he talked about was the fact that he's,
To the property owners, sir, you're hearing from us how we feel what. We certainly
would
would
we-
not go below. What is your next offer?
mi próxima oferta. My next offer, sorry.
Or if
Yeah.
you even want to offer any.
Well, I know I listened somebody said 500 by the building department, or is it correct, or? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Sorry. Vamos a silenciado para. Deben estar hablando entre ellos.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, now
Hello,
yes.
can you hear?
All right. So essentially, you have to make us another offer. We can't counter an offer to you. We can only vote up or down.
Okay, I need to do a new offer to you right now. Is it correct?
So verbally, you have to make us another offer or the full amount stands.
Okay. I don't know. I listened 500 at the beginning of the conversation. 500, is it okay?
That is
Is
your
that
offer?
your offer, sir?
Okay.
Yeah, it's my offer. 500.
I mean, I'd like to just to note that, you know, Esteban's fine reduction information included that he has, and you're here, Esteban, you can tell me if this is,
Yeah.
you've been living in Spain since July?
Yeah.
Here's the question that I have for you, and I think it's a question that's probably on the minds of some of the folks here, is that, you know, you got a violation on April 30th, which was the end of April. So there was a couple of months there before you had moved to Spain that you had received this information. What happened during that time, and why didn't you do something about it during that period of time as we consider, you know, this fine reduction?
Well, the issue is the following, because I ran 2 permits with the city. The first permit, let me tell you, but the first permit, I was run the first permit in June by myself because I thought that I can. Oh, okay.
Sir, that was already 2 months.
Yeah, well, it's because I was with the move in. Really, I was a little busy. For that reason, my delay.
And am I correct, and this is a non-homesteaded rental property?
It's a rental property, yes.
Yeah, we have the $500 offer. Do I have any motion on that?
Make a motion to deny the offer. Basically, it covers the offer covers administrative costs and the fine, but nothing towards a daily assessment when it wasn't in compliance for a period of days.
Well, I figure approximately 4.5 months from the notice of violation to when the daily fines kicked in.
I can second it for discussion.
I have a motion and a second for discussion. Board questions? If there are no questions, we'll take a vote. The motion is to deny the offer of $500. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
That would be no.
No.
Motion passes 4-1.
Well, Esteban, you're down 0-2 here, so you got another offer to make?
Okay, 750. Is it correct? Really, I don't know exactly the cost that the city has, but if you consider 750 is enough, I will pay.
For discussion, I'd like to make a motion to accept the offer of 750 for discussion.
I'll second.
Discussion?
Any questions from the board? Okay. No, no questions. All in favor?
Aye.
And-
When would you like this payment to be done? Pay by date, please?
Oh, with the pay by date of, sir, could you make the payment by February the 26th? That's 10 days.
Yeah, absolutely. I can do it tomorrow. If I can do it by phone or by the website, I can do it tomorrow.
But we'll give you until February the 26th. That'll be 10 days. So the, except in case number, let me do this with, restate my motion. On case number CEN-24-275 to accept the fine reduction offer of $750 to be paid in full by February the 26th. If not, the fine will revert to in full.
Judy, I believe you second.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Next case?
Next item is 8.2 for the address 11335 Northeast 11th Place. The case number is CEN-24-276. Equip Gonzalez. Mr. Gonzalez is here asking for a fine reduction. For
I
the,
don't believe he was sworn in.
that's correct.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
We have a total,
Yes.
at this point, it probably should be more recent than the one on here. Because I'm wondering if the one here is the most, yeah, no, I'm sorry, would be because we stopped the, I'm sorry. We stopped the daily fines, so yes.
The outstanding amount is $30,000 and $30,500. Mr. Gonzalez is proposing to pay $50. Property is now in compliance.
It's less than 1%.
And Dorian, did you have a suggestion from your department?
Yes, considering the amount of time it took to bring this case to the board and for Mr. Gonzalez to come into compliance, we are proposing $1,000.
And that takes into account working with Mr. Gonzalez, because, I mean, I think that we were going to get him a nameplate here. He's been here so many times in the last several months. In the time that you've worked with Mr. Gonzalez during that period of time, you think that does that include all of that as well as, you know, the folks going back out there to inspect and all?
Yes.
Okay.
My concern is that we're fair to the city, that the city residents don't need to pick up the tab for code working on a particular case, that it come out of the particular homeowners for the amount of time spent. So $50 is certainly not even one person at this meeting, let alone how many meetings we've had. So
Well, I think that we all, even on the last discussion, talked about, a minimum of the 500, the 250. The 250 is even, a starting point, and then getting into talking about the daily fines, if I heard everybody correctly. So, I mean, I was even in agreement with that because of the time that I know that Doreen and everybody puts into, um, their job in bringing the stuff to us in the manner that it is. So I'd agree.
There's no more discussion. I'd like to make a motion. Case number CN-24-276 to deny the property owner's offer of $50.
Uh,
I'll second.
Second? I would second.
Janie?
Michael already did.
Oh, Michael?
All in favor of not accepting the $50?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
So, Mr. Gonzalez, were you here with the last guy that was going through what his fine reduction?
I walked in.
Okay.
Well, so I apologize for walking in late. Yeah.
So basically, if you did, you would have saw, kind of what happened, because he's got his denied, and I think he offered 250, and you have the opportunity to make a verbal offer, counter offer, because we don't negotiate, so you have to make another offer, and we can, discuss it. But you've heard what Doreen talked about, and that's why I wanted to be very specific with her to find out, if it included everything, and if they thought that was, in their department was a fair and reasonable amount
Looking
to
back,
take it from 30,500 to 1,000.
looking back at how many times this case was in front of us, and that's postings and effort on the part of, which is time is money, obviously, on the part of staff. Obviously, 50, not even 1%. So we know that's gone. We need to hear another offer, sir.
We appreciate it. First and foremost, thank you for hearing me. It seems like
Oh, and out
We
of
have a small
for-
crowd
out of
today.
formality only, we know who you are, but for the record, I do need to give your name and your relationship to the
Sure,
property.
my name is Aguido Gonzalez, and I'm the owner of 11335 Northeast 11th Place. Yeah. Assuming you're not going to charge me rent for as many times as I've been here, the $50, and please, I don't want you to misunderstand, the $50 that I wrote in was, quite frankly, maybe a misunderstanding on my part with regards to what the fee was for the
I kinda figured
fine reduction
doing it, yeah.
form. So
I sort of
that's-
figured that.
Hmm.
that's what it was. However, I do feel strongly that I've been married 30 years. I know how to follow directions, and I have done that from day one with the help of Doreen, Vanessa, and Mr. Nibbs primarily. And I've done that from day one. And I don't want to beat a dead horse, but the reality of it is that this issue surfaced from a visual issue, that being that I have had white gravel, and then I upgraded to gray granite, and then that's where everything stemmed from. So the point I'm making is that once I was identified, I guess, because of that, I sought guidance, and in fact went ahead and added granite, additional granite, so that in fact it would be leveled out. And then that's when all hell broke loose, because now, and please, with all due respect, the goalpost moved a little bit, because we were originally looking at an issue of color granite versus gravel, and then all of a sudden it became something further, which
Sorry.
I threw in the white flag and went ahead and.
Because I ask you to remember, it also included the border that is the requirement on a gravel driveway. And so we waited till you came into had to wait till you came into compliance with that.
Ms. Anderson, and that's my point. Initially, with really great cooperation on both ends with Doreen and her crew, the guidance was more gravel, then it was parking bumpers, and then finally then we went ahead and put that in. I received on the 9th of January, Vanessa was very kind to send you have a one pager that lays out what things are to look like, so on and so forth. That's when I scrapped the bumpers that had originally been identified as okay, and then put in the edging, the aluminum edging, which are there now. So that's my point. As far as the counter offer, I don't know. $250 seem okay? Again, because of the cooperation that has been there from day one and the guidance that had been followed. That's why I feel strongly about that.
If I may.
Please.
Because I know the guidance is that I had offered, and at the time, because it was due to the order of enforcement, and the citation was to replace the driveway, the no order of enforcement was in violation of not having pulling a permit to replace the driveway. After you're coming and bringing it forward, you may have had some concerns. The pictures that we received and the testimony we received at the time did not indicate that it was multicolored driveway or that otherwise we would have dismissed it at that time. It was the 50%. So that's why the order of enforcement went in there. Seeing how you were working with the village on it, that was great. I mean, personally, I would have liked to see a whole new driveway, but you were working with the village, borders were put in, gravel was put in. I said, you know, this property owner is bettering his property and for the community, but it took quite a while. Had at the beginning, but the first time whenever we were here and explaining what we were looking for, it would have come into compliance a lot longer,
Sooner.
months before.
Mr. Valentin, and I apologize, and that's where I think there's been a disconnect from day one. I have, you all meet, I guess, once a month or whatnot, and then I come in once a month, but my communication, your envoys are in fact Doreen and her team, which I appreciate. And that's who I'd been in communication through. And the point, and I apologize if I haven't been clear, that I had followed those directions. And so it's not that I've ignored, quite the contrary. And that's why I mentioned moving the goalpost. Initially, it was more gravel. Then it was straightening out those bumpers. And then eventually it became, hey, you need to put in that's the point I'm making. So I don't want to revisit all this again. Otherwise,
And
you'll
to-
charge me
and
more
to
rent.
that end- sorry.
But I guess my point is, yeah, I feel strongly that the amount should be minimal. And I trust that this is not the salaries that are paid to a wonderful team. This is above and beyond that. It's not. So their time is, I hope, compensated for with their salaries, not these fines. Okay.
No, it's just the time and effort that the village puts into it. And I, for one, you know, there's a fine of $250 and an administrative fee of $250 just for that one hearing for the order enforcement. And since then, it has been multiple times going out, even though here, each time we met, it was specifically addressed. The major concern was if it was not going to be a new driveway, was not going to be pulled in, and I was leaving that to them. The borders were the concern. That was from day one.
Right.
Because what was there was mismatch on every corner of the perimeter, the three sides. There were round ones, there were the rectangle ones. I'm glad you brought this in to where it looks now.
Thank you.
Is an improvement.
Yeah, and I believe that what we've all been discussing is really what we've discussed over the course of several months, and that's what, you know, the tongue-in-cheek joke was about you being here, you know, because that understanding, that collective understanding, and then you know, ultimately compliance came through those meetings, came through that, you know, is it moving the goalpost, or is it just, you know, a clear understanding on both sides about what needs to be done? Whatever it is, the bottom line is it's done. and you're here before, to ask for a reduction from $30,500, and if you had been here for Esteban's, time, you would have heard my, way I view it is I view it as a minimum of, that 250 plus 250. I think that's got to be a starting point. But I do hold a lot of weight towards Doreen and her team about what they believe, the time and effort was and what that's calculated to be for the village's time. I mean, I'm an attorney. I deal with, I live my life in, 6-minute increments, because we bill our time. But, and I hold a lot of weight into that. And, she would have said 15,000. I would have hold a lot of weight into that too. But, that's why I'm looking for that unvarnished view. So as far as I see it, it's got to start, with $500 for even a discussion. And then I would hold a lot of weight
You make
to what Doreen said.
a very good point. 500 has to be the starting point because that's for the violation and the admin cost just from square one. Now we've had several more meetings beyond that. So again, we're looking to you, sir. You hear what you've heard tonight, and I too totally agree with Michael. I place a great deal of stock in what staff has to say. They know what's gone into the process from their side of the issue. So again, we're waiting for your next offer, and we can.
There's an
make a
offer for
motion.
250, is that denied? The offer for 250, the second offer?
There hasn't been a motion.
I'll make a motion to deny the offer of 250.
In favor of denying the 250?
Aye.
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 Is 5-0.
Folks, I guess I'm at a loss. I guess if the $500 is it, then so be it. Would that be acceptable?
You may have missed the point that we were trying, I may have speak for myself, I think the village has recommended $1,000. We were saying the 500 is the minimum we would even consider at this point, because that
The
covers
starting
administrative
point,
costs.
right.
That was from the first hearing from the order of enforcement.
Right.
Since then, there has been several other hearings month after month, along with all the paperwork and the time and effort to compile all this, to go out to the property, to meet with you. The village says it comes down to about 1,000. I may want to take that consideration. If you're offering 500, let us know.
Please, if that would suffice.
If that's your.
1,000?
if that's your
Yes,
offer.
it is.
Your offer is 5?
Yes, ma'am.
5 or 1,000. I'm sorry,
No.
500.
I'll make a motion to deny the $500 offer.
Second.
All in favor of denying the $500 offer?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
You can make another offer. The one thing that I would, like the board to consider, as Mr. Gonzalez considers, is if he wants to make another offer, which you should, particularly if you got 30,500 that you're looking at, is that from the conduct of Mr. Gonzalez throughout the process and, of compliance and trying to understand and coming to these meetings. Do you live in Miami Springs?
In Miami Springs, I do.
So you come here from Miami Springs for these meetings, right? So, I mean, a considerable amount of effort, from his part, to get the understanding of what the village wanted for his compliance. Even at this point, looking back, you describe it as, moving the goalpost. So it appears that you still, have a different understanding of what was, required and necessary, for purposes of bringing your driveway into compliance. And you heard Mr. Blanton, and you heard what, he, was focused on those borders from day one. You were like, hey, look, if I didn't put any, any extra, rocks in there a different color, I never would be here. I'm here because, damned if I do, damned if I don't, right? No good deed goes unpunished. So, I understand, your perspective in that, and at the same time, the village has been, working with you at a considerable amount of time as well to get, us to where we are today, which is compliance. It looks beautiful. It's, everybody is, checked off on those boxes. But now we're just looking to try to figure out, what's the best fine reduction. We already we basically heard us say that, the non-starter is, at 500. The $1,000 you've heard from what Doreen is, I would ask, the board, as you consider your next offer, to consider, Mr. Gonzalez, despite not having, believing that, that the goalposts, or despite believing the goalposts were moved, did, as you said, as a man of 30 years of marriage, threw out the white flag and complied. And now he's here, seeking the mercy of this board to try to consider an amount that, we'll all be, upset with. I do, I get involved in mediations, and a mediator says that a successful mediation is when both parties leave unhappy. Yeah. So
Very true.
I'll just leave you with that, and,
Your next,
we'll wait for your next offer.
Folks, first and foremost, I do not, because it hasn't been the case, that I have disregarded any guidance whatsoever. Quite the contrary. I think what has happened is for lack of a better term, the communication, literally, the first time that I was to be here, I was told that I could come over Zoom. And that was in effect not the case. Maybe that's something that's been corrected, because I've seen a couple of folks come through. But the point is that had I been here then, via Zoom, which I tried to log on, and I provided proof of that earlier, it's not a matter of disregard. It's what I have been hearing and receiving guidance for, and that's it. So that's first and foremost, because I think that should play a part in the goodwill that I think has been evident. So I guess everybody being unhappy, I'm terribly unhappy, because the money would be coming out of my pocket. But in any event, I guess if we could split the baby at 750, would everybody leave unhappy?
I think I'd be sufficiently unhappy with that amount. And I think that, one of the things that has struck me about your case is that you were here every time, even the time when it was Zoom and you couldn't get through, you attempted, and you've taken the process seriously, even when you didn't agree with it. And at the end of the day, have come into full compliance, in the eyes of the city. And some of that was a learning curve, I think, for you and for the sides. I don't think it was done, and correct me if I'm wrong, Doreen, it was done politely and courteously and professionally throughout. There was no nastiness and hanging up phones and pumping out.
I appreciate all of that. The point in asking staff for their input is they are nitty-gritty, behind the scenes, seeing everything that goes into it. And I'm going to be perfectly straight up. I am not comfortable going below staff's recommendation.
Well, and that's why I asked, for the board to consider Mr. Gonzalez's case, and I'd like to make a motion to accept his $750 offer to the village to satisfy this long-running saga that has ended successfully for the village to be paid by February 26.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Motion dies for lack of a second.
Folks, I've appealed properly. I'm not going to lose my integrity because I disagree with, the way things have been handled or mishandled. That would never be the case. But I appeal to Doreen. Doreen, you identified the $1,000. We had, I hope that you take into account time
I did.
minimally involved, and I'm hoping that you would in fact, receive or accept the 750.
Unfortunately, I don't accept the board is in
So I
control.
apologize then.
I've made the recommendation of
No, no.
$1,000 based on my own review of the case and the amount of time we sent a supervisor out there, the paperwork, phone calls, and everything that
Okay.
we put in as staff.
Okay, folks, what are, if I may, what are my recourses? Because in terms of the $1,000 and appealing that, and is there another formal?
Are you saying you will not make an offer above 750?
That one's been,
Right. Then we're done, right? There's
Then,
no,
if that's, and I apologize for not being familiar with this process. So what am I to say? $800? Is that, I don't know how this process works. It almost feels like I'm,
yeah,
an
I
auction
would think
house.
you kind of get a sense of the things that we.
If staff recommends 1,000, then we feel bound to going no less than that, because they know the amount of time and effort they've put in, and we appreciate the fact that you've put in a lot of time and effort too. But our job is to make sure that the city is covered as well, that compliance, number one, and number two, that that the city is covered for its expenses, and the city can't charge you for every certified letter that has to go out, but the city pays it, and the staff has to go to the post office and take it down there and do the research and do the pictures and do all that work. So we have a hard time going under staff recommendations for what they feel their time put into it was.
And I appreciate it, and thank you for the detail. I feel very strongly as well that I have followed the directions, and, you know, we keep referring to $30,000 because it started with moving the goalposts. I have complied with the requests that have been provided. That's where I'm coming from.
And we
And-
understand that and appreciate it.
Mhm.
When it was finally complied with, it's good. But sir, you've heard what you've heard here tonight. So we're kind of prolonging the inevitable.
So,
You
Ms.
have to
Anderson,
make
what
a
you're saying is
decision.
that, Mr. Gonzalez, we're requesting $1,000 and that's it? Mr.
No, I'm
Gonzalez?
requesting another offer from you, sir.
$800. Would that, I mean, what I think I'm communicating is that I feel as though dollar amounts that have been laid out are excessive based on what I have been able to do, have the cordiality that I've had, and
Yeah.
I certainly will
That
cover
does
the.
not negate
I'll make a motion.
the time.
Make a motion to
Okay.
-760 tonight, the offer of $800.
I'll
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
No further offers or anything, then we have an outstanding fine.
Right.
of $30,500.
all those opposed,
I'm sorry.
opposed. So it's 4-1, which you've heard articulated here, Ms. Gonzalez, essentially is, and I think I articulated the case, and you heard my feelings, but I'm in the minority. And you heard pretty loud and clear that, from what Doreen had put into, that number, what she considered. And it wasn't $30,500, it wasn't $15,000, she said it was $1,000. So we all give a considerable amount of weight to what Doreen says. I took into consideration, the history of this case, but that's not shared by my fellow board members, and that's the reality that you're in right now.
And if I may add, I took into consideration was for a driveway, and what we ended up with was a refurbishing of an existing driveway. So I think we've taken a lot into consideration on both sides.
Correct.
I mean, I think we've been very cooperative with you. It may have taken some time. That's why I think that, the process worked for the betterment of both of us, the village, who prior to this, even with the added rocks, you have to admit the driveway did not look as it does now. It looks much better. trying to have all driveways. And anything that goes over 50% needs to be a new driveway.
You know,
So I
from-
think it was very we cooperated as a village, and at this point, I think we should
To add to what the member, yes, sir. I
offer-
would like to add to what the member just stated, Mr. Gonzalez. The way we issued that violation, you would have been required to install a brand-new driveway. But I looked at it and looked at the whole case, reviewed it, and thought, you know, we could come down with the requirements and maybe just repair it. That was just consideration on our part, and the board didn't have to agree with that. So I just wanted to make that
And
point
I
so you understand
appreciate
that.
Your common sense approach to it. I truly do. And that's all I've been saying from day one, that I have followed that guidance, and I appreciate that guidance, and I appreciate the common sense as well. So thank you, folks.
it-
Obviously, I am not going to allow any group or anybody to lien my property for $30,000. That would be ridiculous. I will go ahead and, because you've given me no choice, to pay the $1,000. I guess my question to you, and I think it's a learning opportunity for both of us, what are my recourses to, you know, obviously I'm going to pay the $1,000. Are there recourses for me? And I'm just speaking as a I guess someone before you. For the $1,000. I didn't agree with that, and I think I've stated how and why.
You need to appeal the order of enforcement.
The $1,000.
This-
Yes.
The $1,000 is a recommendation, Mr. Gonzalez. It's not on the book. They haven't voted to accept our recommendation. It's up to you to make an offer. If you can't make an offer,
This is your offer. sir.
your other,
We have
not-
yeah.
30,500 that
Right.
we're ready to
correct.
I mean, there's,
move forward. It's
you-
completely up.
Oh, and it's very clear that it's clearly up to me. My choices are $1,000 or $30,000. Is that not the case, Mr. Blanton?
That's correct.
Sir, because it-
Actually,
if it was
Offer?
left up to me, I think it requires a little more, but I have heard you, I've heard the other members of this board. I'm not unreasonable with regards to what the village is asking, just for what what the village considers as proper, amount.
And I think,
Personally, I wouldn't necessarily, take it, but I would even agree to it, but I haven't heard an offer. So because I have stated from the first time you came before us with regards to there should be a driveway,
okay,
and through the process, we're here.
we really do have to come to a conclusion at this point.
Yeah, no, I see your
We've
business
discussed
without a
it,
doubt, and I
and-
appreciate your seeing me. I walked in a little late. Mr. Linton, you were about to say something, I think.
well, I was just going to say procedurally, I think what was going on now is a motion to, reduce the fine. The notice of intent to lien, and, that's a whole separate matter that's beyond the scope of what we're doing. In terms of what your recourse would be for that would be related to that. But that's not what we are.
We're not
We're kind of like the appellate court of, or law of equity, or court of equity to say, hey, would you accept this instead of that? Yay or nay?
No,
As
we're
far as the
not-
recourse, it's not
we're
really a recourse. That's it.
Lien
level.
situation, we're
Well,
still,
that lien is off, I apologize, Ms. Anderson.
we're not
just
at a
to respond.
lien.
Yeah, I realize that that's off the table because that's what we're doing here, and I'm aware of
Right.
that. But I think Mr. Blanton said, hey, listen, your choices are $1,000 or $30,000.
No.
Oh, I
It's not-
apologize. I
have
misunderstood.
Never said your offer is $1,000. All I said was that's what the village has recommended that they would like to see. And otherwise, there is a current fine of $30,500. That is
it can
all.
sit there,
Please do
right.
not put words in
Right.
my mouth.
I have it, but at the end of the day, for my effects, it's either $30,000 or $1,000. It's really what it's
That
come
is
down
what-
to.
If you make that motion, then it will be that. But you haven't made the motion yet. You've just heard what the
Yeah,
discussion.
Made the offer.
He hasn't made the
Offer, yeah.
offer.
Okay,
Well, I've made other offers. It's
Everybody,
just
let's-
they've been
let's-
this, yeah.
let's back up. Sir, the last offer of 800 was denied. Do you want to make another offer, sir?
Yes, I'd love to make an offer of $1,000.
Are you making that offer, sir?
Ms. Anderson, I just did.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
Want to make sure.
I
I don't
know you
want to
did.
put
I know.
words.
I will
in your
make-
You didn't want to
mouth.
put
You
words
did.
in my mouth.
I will make a motion in CEN. I will make a motion in CEN 24-276 that we accept Mr. Gonzalez's offer of $1,000
Second,
To be paid by?
to be paid by February 26th.
the offer of $1,000, motion to accept, paid by February 26th, motion by Judy, I've seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you, Ms. Gonzalez.
The office? Yes. Think so. We are moving back to old business, which is section 6 of the agenda. 6.1 for the address 824 Northeast 111th Street for case number CEC 250004 for HQH Biscayne Park LLC in care of the registered agent Miami Accounting and TAD Services LLC. This is an intent to lien for $500, which remains unpaid. The violation was for section 18.4 permitted days and hours of construction. We have filed an affidavit of noncompliance. There is no one present to represent the property.
There's no questions. I'd like to make a motion
Go right ahead.
on case number CEC-25-004 that to direct the village to move forward with filing the lien of $500
I'll second that and make
plus applicable.
applicable filing fees. I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Next item is 6.2 for 826 Northeast 121st Street, case number EEN-22-0383 for Jan Roots and his wife Denise in care of their attorney. This was, there is a request for a continuance on this case from the village manager, awaiting a meeting between him and the contractor. Continuance to the next hearing.
I was going to say, because there's nothing different than the first time we had this. There
Second.
is still not the backup that we all asked for.
Unfortunately, the manager couldn't get a meeting date earlier than this hearing. So they will be having a meeting soon, and he requested that we move the case to March the 12th.
Meeting, okay.
That's correct.
I'll make a motion that in EEN 22-0383, we continue this case till March's meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
I would just like to put it on the record that all attorneys representing the property and the property owner were notified and they responded,
They all responded, they responded?
or responded, yes. Was the second?
It was Judy.
This is for the property located at 830 Northeast 116th Street for case number CEN 24-471, Matthew Q. Bowen and Ashley Seabrook Bowen. This property is now in compliance. The fines have been paid.
Have been paid?
Correct, and that applies to all three cases coming up
Hmm.
under 6.4 and 6.5 for the same property owners and the same property
So all three, 3, 4, and 5
have been paid
have been paid.
in compliance.
Okay. I'll make a motion in cases I'm sorry, if there's no comment from the board,
No.
I'll make a motion in CEN 24-471, 472, and 584. All cases, all fines have been paid, property is in compliance, close the cases.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Motion passes 5-0.
We're moving to new business, back to new business. Section 7, 7.1 for 905 Northeast 111th Street, case number CEC 25-0001. Property owner is Seka Nash B LLC, in care of their registered agent, Miami Accounting and Tax Services LLC. We were going to ask for an order of enforcement on this one, but they have complied.
Oh, that looks so much better. That's what I said, shock.
Yeesh. They did a good job,
But he cleaned it and painted it.
man. Okay, do I have a motion?
Case number CEC dash 25-001. Make a motion that the property is in compliance and move to close.
Second.
Oh, Michael second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
Next items, 7.2 and 7.3 for the property located at 1019 Northeast 115th Street, case number CEC 25-0017 and CEC 25-0019. Property owner is Belize Investment LLC, in care of their registered agent, Republic Registered Agent. This property was violated as a short-term rental for noise and maximum capacity. They have paid the fines and are now in compliance.
Well, they paid, all right.
They paid on,
They paid $1,000. The other violation did not come with a fine. We clarified this with the village attorney, and the clarification is for short-term rentals, the only violations that come with the $1,000 fine and escalation to 2, 3, and 4 to up to 5 are noise violations.
Not violence?
So it doesn't come before us for an administrative fee or,
In this case, we considered that they cooperated, they came, they met with the police, they met with the village manager. They were very cooperative and they paid the violation for the noise. We moved to close the cases.
I make a motion on case number CEC dash 25-0017 that compliance has been achieved, payment made, and to close the case.
I'll second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0. And the other one, I'm sorry, the second one on this property.
Correct.
We're continuing till March.
On this property? No, no. Oh, yes, I'm sorry. We'll continue this case to March, not because they're not in compliance, but because there needs to be clarification on the section. And was to move was Janie, and
Gail and me?
it was a 5-0.
Yes.
Thank you. The next case is on 7.5 for the address 11401 Northeast 8th Court. Case number is CEC 25-0015. Property appraiser information is protected. We are asking for an order of enforcement. And in the order of enforcement, we would like the board to specify that the village is asking to take this case to the Unsafe Structure Board for the Miami-Dade County to get an order to demolish this building.
That was my first instinct in seeing this. There's nothing more there is no point in more violations, more fines, whatever. That's pointless at this point. It's got to be a case drawn up to present to the Unsafe Structures Board I mean, when you look at these pictures
Yeah, it was astonishing.
and my heart goes, it's no other way to describe it. My heart goes to the people that have
To the neighbors. Correct.
the danger and if kids get into the yard. Now, that's another question. And I know we try to be very careful about the whole fencing issue, the construction fencing. Is there anything in our code that would allow the village to at least erect some sort of a barrier so kids don't go wandering around?
I don't think.
I mean, there has to be some sort of a safety concern.
Safety fence can be installed. However, the way this property is, it's fenced on two sides
Oh, okay.
and the front of the property, so children wouldn't go on the property. And also, this property is very well maintained in the front, that no one would think of, a squatter wouldn't think of going onto this property.
Back, you know?
There is no access from the back.
No, because
It's-
there's another house behind there.
It's fenced all around. We
It-
went in the back. It's,
Has anybody like seen the owner? Has there been any
They did
contact? with the
locate.
owner? Huh?
I do believe they located him.
we haven't seen him, but we spoke to the police spoke to family members.
Okay.
But
No,
it
nobody.
doesn't, there's no way anyone would live in that house.
So. If,
Make the motion.
go right ahead.
Case number CEC #25 015. Direct the village, to move forward with securing, with the city of Miami,
County. Mhm.
for deem this property, with an deem it as an unsafe structure.
I'll second. I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes 5-0.
And it's for the address 11530 Northeast 7th Avenue. The case number is CEC -25-0043 for Ivan Pacheco. This property is now in compliance. It was also violated as a short-term rental for noise. They have paid the $1,000 and they're now in compliance.
Question, make the motion on CEC #25-0043. Fine has been paid and move to close.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
And that concludes the cases we brought before the board tonight.
Up two things. Number one, we have to vote on Rodolfo's January absence.
I'd like to hear what Rodolfo had to say.
Well, the story is that after I went over the papers and everything, I didn't realize there was a day before. I did it the day the meeting was supposed to be. So Wednesday, I come here with my package. I open the door and I don't see anybody but the commission meeting.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh,
But-
my
yeah,
goodness.
but it was Tuesday.
And,
Okay,
and,
Yeah, because you weren't here either.
and,
I did the same thing.
and for me, the issue was, I didn't know what day it was because I went onto the city website and the city website had it listed as Wednesday. So I had to go down to City Hall and say, okay, guys, what is it? And it was up and down and up and down. And luckily I had both days open.
Not only because it didn't get put to the right date on the calendar until late, but we had a conflict and we will again next month with arts and culture. And somebody has to reach out to them in advance because we can't very well move to Village Hall. We have too many people. But I pictured all of us showing up at the same time going, okay, now we're, yeah.
Well, I'd like to make a motion to forgive Rodolfo and to excuse him for getting it wrong on the calendar.
Second.
Forgive and forget. I agree.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Okay. Now. Oh, minutes, January's minutes. Did everybody have a chance to read them?
Seemed okay to me.
Everybody has had the chance to read January's minutes. Do we have any questions, concerns, corrections?
Not, I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes from January.
I'll second.
Favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. The community outreach program that I asked you guys to put on for discussion, did anybody bring copies so that anybody who didn't see it in the agenda can take a look?
Unfortunately, we didn't bring any copies, but I would promise to bring them to the March meeting. We have an LTC that we have prepared with the manager that's going to be going out soon. And
Impose on you to kind of give everybody a brief overview.
Please. Because I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh,
so the code department is this year preparing to, we have launched it, but we would like to formally launch an outreach program, which is, we are doing this to bridge the gap between the residents and government, code compliance in particular. We would like to reach out to the community in different ways to let them know about what we do, to let them know about the codes and sometimes explain the codes to them, because sometimes people just don't know what's going on and they just don't know what these codes entail.
did happen to take a screenshot just in case, so in kind of, there were 4 points to it. if I
Yes,
remember.
the mayor's,
One is preparing to start a mayor's academy where like
yes,
everybody, I'm sorry, every department
So
in the
they-
village is represented. People come, can get more information, can speak directly to employees and department heads. The other is a once-a-month post
On
on
social media.
codes. I love this part. A post once a month on social media explaining codes and how to avoid citations.
I like it.
Letters of intent, I think is absolutely fantastic. That's where you guys
we are starting with your area. The letters of intent are going in your area first.
see where people kind of get, you're letting people know up front, this is what we're looking for.
Correct.
This is what we're focusing on. And then more brochures and pamphlets, more information. We've just done a subpar job going back since code was invented of getting up front on issues. You know, we can't always be reactive. I wonder, you gotta wonder how many people would have avoided problems.
If they
or,
do.
You know, it's easy for those of us who've kind of always been involved to sort of kind of know what's going on.
Well, but in all honesty, when we passed the new driveway ordinance, we sent out letter after letter after letter after letter. We did quite a bit to reach out to the community. It was
Agreed.
in social media, on Nextdoor and everywhere. So when people say we had no idea there was a driveway thing.
Big ordinance that
Oh.
changed, we've done a good job, but I'm talking.
The little ones,
little
yeah.
ones
I think
where people
one of
get-
the major things is just whenever it comes down to pulling permits on the smaller items,
Yep.
such as a clarification of what constitutes when you pull a permit.
Yes.
Such as
Yep.
over a certain amount, if it's
Exactly.
attached to your house, if it is something.
Exactly.
Because
Yeah.
I know of people who are confused. If I want to change out my cabinets in my
Right.
kitchen, but I'm not
Right.
doing electrical or plumbing, do I need a permit?
Yeah. That's very true. And do I need a permit to paint my house?
I think it's great. The community outreach is great. I think that's a really good way to bridge the gap.
Excuse me for that. Is it not somewhere super easy for them all to be able to get that information real quick?
Yes, we do have an app now GoGov app that I hope most residents are signed up to now, where we can actually disseminate information. We will use the app as well,
Because
and
it's
the website.
for push information, not that people have to
But
go look.
What's the engagement, right? So I'll come talk to you later, but
Sure.
I do employee engagement sites for companies, like that's.
Wow.
That might be an opportunity for you all to, if you already have the app, that's one thing. You gotta combine it with your communications, right? Because if your communications is no good, I can tell you as somebody who's.
Well, I'm gonna give you a call, like tomorrow.
Whenever you need it, well.
I appreciate it. Absolutely.
We're pretty small potatoes in this little town, and as you can see from our little architectural gem here, we still live in the past, and we need to move forward. We love it. We love it small. We love it little. We love the way it is, but it's growing all around us.
Got a friend in here all the time, and there's construction happening right behind her house, and you can see the slits. You know, like, and I've been here for 3 years, and then I've lived here for 10 years, but you can see it, you know, and it's like, well, all right, well, if we need to make sure that people know what they need to be doing, you know, we can definitely do that. So yeah, that I can definitely help you out. So
I appreciate that very much.
Thanks, Ashley. Okay, any other discussion, questions?
Oh, I want to say it's great meeting you, Ashlyn. That's great. Glad you're coming. It took me quite a while to understand what was going on and what needed to be done. I'd say probably 4 or 5 months. So it'll be good for you to be here, even if you can't vote on things. And we do appreciate your opinion. Everybody's opinion is respected. And we look forward to having somebody on, because every now and again, something comes up and somebody can't make it. And we don't like having to cancel a meeting when we've got a room full of people here because somebody doesn't make it. And we've,
Cost involved because it's all.
right, the postings, that they send out certified letters to people to let them know what's going on. So it's a cost to the village, it's a cost to people and their time and their energy. And we made it by the skin of our teeth on a meeting a little while ago, and that's when we decided we very much needed somebody else. Thanks.
Yeah, on the fine reductions, that we need to be reminded that we also take in consideration whether a property is homesteaded and a resident.
That's
or
correct.
Right,
non-homesteaded.
thank you. Good
So,
point.
when we're doing these fine reductions, we should look and
Mhm.
see if a property is homesteaded.
Because if they're making money
Very
off of
important.
it, it's a different story. Yeah. What about the thing we discussed earlier about the possibility of going to the manager?
Unfortunately for all of us, this may or may not be, probably is, during our last meeting. And I think I'm speaking only for me now, because that's the only person I can speak for. I have a concern of where we go forward, because to say that no disrespect in any way, shape, or form to any
Absolutely.
one of our absolutely terrific, hardworking staff, please. But Doreen has been the driving force behind incredible improvements in code, bringing it up to a professional level, seeing things from a bigger perspective than I've seen in all the years of being on the outside involved in code in some way. And it's going to be a significant loss. Now, as it is, we're down one code officer because Luciano moved on to
City of
David,
Dania, Anna, he went with Anna
and of course.
Garcia.
So it's tough enough that leaves Rafael and Vanessa. We're all, we're concerned. I'm wondering,
Now legally, we can't go together as a group, can we?
tell them, no.
What about Luciano? Is
You're
he
not.
still here?
We'd have to call a special meeting. It would have to be posted.
Well, I think we should do that then.
Would be my feeling. How does everybody feel about calling a special meeting, which we'd have to in order for us all to be together?
Right.
And ask if the manager would be willing to meet with us.
To do anything to keep Doreen? I would do that.
Absolutely.
Feel free to, if you prefer, and I'm going to really put you on the spot now. If you would prefer we stay out of it, feel free to say that. Because I don't want to put you on the spot in a meeting.
I wouldn't stop you from doing what you need to do.
All right, we love it. We love it.
Answer. But I hope you understand.
Portugal can wait. That Portugal can wait.
So I think personally, I will go. I did drop in on Al today, was it? Yeah, and he wasn't there. So I will try and drop in on him again, but I think we should call for a special meeting.
If there's a chance, if there's a chance to keep Doreen, if that's what we're getting at, then then we'll, special meeting, whatever we gotta do, I'm up for.
Guys, to reach out to the manager and then kind of poll, blind copied, of course, all of us to see when a good time would be.
Vanessa, I'll respond to those.
Another job, Vanessa. Ah, Okay, right. But to see what we're else,
And check with Al first.
check with Al first, of course. Thank you, everybody, because I think that is a spectacular idea. Judy, thank you for bringing that up.
Mhm.
I'm just broken at the thought. I mean, like I said, the rest of the staff is wonderful, but she's been our leader.
And Dale, please chime in, but for me, having been on the board this time since I think it's 2016 or 17, and having moved through several iterations, it has been such a wonderful professional experience in dealing with you, Doreen, and seeing what you brought to the department. And no matter when I've interacted with you or here at the meetings, you've made it very clear our village means a lot to you. And you really put not only your professionalism, but your heart and soul into it. And it's made such a significant difference that just to see it kind of end in March, okay, that's painful.
I appreciate the comments. I don't take it lightly. I'm very humbled.
And
I need a motion to
Mo- to adjourn, second, third, fourth. All right.
everybody.
Told you I wasn't gonna let it go.
Yeah.
Raphael, are you still recycling paper?